Be prepared, because if you think the flower moon faded quietly into the night, you're not paying attention to what your soul has already felt. The energy didn't end, it shifted. And now, May 16th, you're standing in the aftershock. The air feels different. Time doesn't flow the same. You start something, then forget why. You feel everything and nothing at once. That's not random, it's reordering. 5 strange things have been happening since the full moon passed, and if you've noticed even one of them, this video isn't a suggestion. It's a message you were meant to hear. Because the truth is, your nervous system, your emotions, your timelines, they're not malfunctioning. They're adapting. You are not broken. You are becoming. Keep watching. Because what's unfolding right now isn't chaos. It's the realignment before your next evolution begins. You felt the crescendo when the flower moon lit the sky, but the moment its glow receded, something even louder began to hum beneath your skin. It's that low-frequency thrumming you sense in the back of your thoughts, the tingling at the base of your spine when you wake up before dawn, and the world feels both too quiet and too charged to be ordinary. What if I told you that this hum isn't anxiety, and it isn't exhaustion either, but the afterpulse of lunar light rearranging the circuitry of your entire being? Since May 13th, the cosmos has been whispering instructions directly into your cells, translating lunar code into biological response. Plans stall, words blur. Familiar rooms look strangely unfamiliar. Each glitch a breadcrumb pointing to the truth. The full moon was a trigger, not a finale. Can you remember the exact moment you realized yesterday's habits suddenly felt 2 sizes too small? That wasn't restlessness. It was the gravitational tug of a new timeline pulling on the seams of your old identity. This is the start of the Aftershock corridor, an energetic hallway where the lights flicker while new wiring is installed behind the walls. You pick up your phone to answer a message, and your fingers freeze. 30 seconds later, you forget the conversation existed. Don't confuse that pause for failure. Your nervous system just rerouted power from instant response to deep integration, and the brief blackout is proof the upgrade is in progress. Have you noticed how ordinary noises, traffic, notifications, even casual chatter, now feel like sandpaper on your senses? That irritation isn't hypersensitivity. It's your aura flushing out static so finer frequencies can land. Think back to the night of the full moon. Did a forgotten memory surface, crystal clear, only to dissolve before you could analyze it? That flash was a data packet sent from a dormant layer of self, surfacing so you could release its weight. The body processes spiritual downloads the way Earth absorbs rain. First with overflow, then with saturation, and finally with quiet absorption. Right now, you're somewhere between overflow and saturation, and it's perfectly okay if you don't yet speak the language of what's arriving. Transformation is bilingual. It speaks in sensation first, comprehension later. Notice the way time bends in this corridor. Mornings stretch like taffy. Afternoons snap shut in a blink. Tasks you could finish in minutes now take hours, while insights that once took months spark in a single breath. Linear progress died the night the moon bloomed. What's being born is cyclical, spiral, intuitive. Will you honor that rhythm, Or will you keep checking the clock of a reality that no longer governs your momentum? Even your breath is different. Some moments it's shallow, as if conserving fuel. Others it deepens, as though pulling oxygen from a wider sky. Trust that oscillation. Your lungs are practicing a new cadence designed to carry more light with less effort. Sit with that for a heartbeat. What would life feel like if every inhale delivered clarity instead of just air? And then there's the emotion that won't name itself. Half grief, half anticipation, rolling beneath your ribs like soft thunder. You're grieving an outdated blueprint, even as you thrill at the scent of freshly printed plans you haven't seen yet. Let both sensations coexist. Neither is incorrect. The psyche sheds in layers, and every layer deserves its moment in the sun before drifting away on the wind. So here's your first strange thing. Continuity has disappeared. The thread you once followed through each day has unraveled, and new strands are weaving themselves in directions your mind can't map yet. Don't tug at them, feel them. Let them braid your future in real time. Ask yourself now, what if this disorientation is actually orientation to a wider field? Breathe and listen for the answer that arrives as a shiver instead of a sentence. You haven't missed the peak. You're surfing the echo. The moon may have set, but its after image is still stamping coordinates into your bones, urging you to walk a path you can sense but not see. Step anyway. The floor will form beneath each footfall, because the shift didn't end, it evolved, and so will you. There's a quiet chaos happening inside you, not loud enough to explain, but too loud to ignore. You wake up feeling fine, and by midday, you're on the verge of tears with no clear trigger. Or maybe it's the opposite. Things that used to hurt you now feel distant, like echoes of a story you no longer belong to. This isn't moodiness. This is a nervous system in spiritual translation. The flower moon didn't just stir your emotions, it opened your inner vault. And now, your body is being flooded with data that your mind can't process fast enough. That's why you feel on edge without a cause. That's why you're emotionally tender one moment and numb the next. You're not unstable. You're integrating. Have you noticed how your reactions don't match your logic anymore? How small things set off big feelings or big things barely register? That mismatch isn't dysfunction, it's dissonance. Emotional dissonance is what happens when your energetic body updates faster than your nervous system can interpret. You're literally feeling at a higher frequency than you've ever lived before, and it shows. Let's be clear, you're not broken. You're overloaded. Your inner circuitry is firing on frequencies it wasn't used to holding. And now, the recalibration process is unfolding in waves. Emotionally, this can look like confusion. Physically, it might show up as headaches, pressure behind the eyes, tightness in the chest, sudden fatigue, or a strange electric buzz in your limbs. You're not making this up. This isn't anxiety in the traditional sense. It's energetic adjustment. Your body is working overtime to reroute old stress pathways into new states of presence. That takes more bandwidth than most people realize. And while the world urges you to keep going, your soul is whispering, slow down. This is sacred. Can you listen? The mistake we often make is trying to override this recalibration with discipline, to push through, to produce, to perform, even while our systems are screaming for integration. But in this space, pushing is poison. What your body needs now is permission, not pressure. Have you felt a strange pull to cry without knowing why? Or the need to be alone, not out of sadness, but out of survival? That's your nervous system saying, I can't hold old energy and new frequency at the same time. It needs space, it needs softness, and most of all, it needs you to stop fighting the symptoms as if they're problems and start honoring them as signs. This emotional dissonance is your bridge. The flickers of anger, grief, exhaustion, even joy. They're signals that your field is flushing out what no longer matches your new vibration. And if you're scared that you're going backward, let me offer this. What if falling apart isn't collapse, but release? What if the shaking is just your spirit finally unsticking from the structures it outgrew? The nervous system doesn't lie, and right now, yours is telling a story that words can't catch up to yet. A story of release, of evolution, of layers you never knew you were carrying, finally falling away. So if you're feeling fragile today, don't apologize for it. If you're cycling through emotions that don't make sense, don't shut them down. Feel them, let them speak, and then let them pass. Because they're not here to stay, they're here to leave. This is not instability. This is a nervous system learning how to hold your future self. And like any sacred training, it comes with tremors. You're going about your day, barely thinking of the past, when suddenly, a face you haven't seen in years flashes in your mind. A name, a feeling, a memory so vivid it stuns you still. It doesn't belong to this moment, and yet, it arrives like it never left. This is not nostalgia, this is recall with purpose. Since the flower moon, the veil between timelines has thinned. And when the veil thins, unresolved frequencies resurface. But they don't return to haunt you. They return to be closed. Old conversations you replayed in your mind. Regrets that used to tighten your chest. People whose energy once left imprints on your field, suddenly they're back. Not in form, but in presence. Have you felt that? This isn't just memory. It's energetic memory. And it's being flushed to the surface because your current frequency can no longer hold those fragments. They must leave. But before they go, they echo. And that echo is what you've been feeling. Some of you have already experienced the strange text message. A person from the past suddenly appearing in your inbox. Or worse, showing up in your dreams with unspoken words still lingering. Ask yourself, why now? Why them? Why again? Because the flower moon didn't just bloom light into your now. It activated root systems. And root systems go back, way back, to relationships that didn't get closure, to versions of you that never got to speak. This is your chance, not to reopen wounds, but to release the frequency that held them in place. It doesn't mean you need to reach out. It doesn't mean they're meant to return. Sometimes the soul just needs to bring them to the surface one more time, so you can feel the shift and finally say, without words, that's no longer me. And sometimes, it's not even about people. It's about memories. Places that suddenly smell familiar. Songs that trigger tears without context. Moments that flicker into your awareness and disappear again just as quickly. They're not accidents. They're proof that your field is processing. Your energy is running a scan on everything that can't move forward with you. And the mind, bless it, tries to make meaning out of it all. But not everything is meant to be understood. Some things are meant to be felt once more, so they can finally be filed away properly. Not suppressed, not dramatized, just resolved. And in that resolution, you might feel sadness. Not because you want to go back, but because you only understand why you had to let go. That ache? That's not a mistake. It's the soft grief of becoming. Your nervous system may feel raw in these moments. Your heart might beat a little faster. You might feel like crying without knowing why. This is the energy of memory leaving the emotional body. Let it leave. Let the names fade. Let the faces blur. Let the stories dissolve in the salt of your tears or the heat of your breath. You don't need to retell the past. You just need to recognize when it rises and bless it as it falls away. Because here's the truth. You can't bring old timelines into your new field, not because they're wrong, but because they're complete. And the flower moon made sure you felt that one last time. So if today a face returns, if a name repeats in your thoughts, if a part of you wonders, should I go back? Pause, breathe, and ask instead, what part of me is ready to be released now? Because what's returning isn't asking for reconnection. It's asking for closure. And the version of you that's emerging doesn't need the past to prove who you are. You're already proof. You checked your calendar twice. The plan was clear. And yet, something shifted. The call didn't happen. The message never came. The moment you were counting on, it slipped through your fingers like mist. You didn't miss it. It missed you on purpose. Since the flower moon, reality has been rethreading itself. And in this reordering, time is no longer linear. It's responsive. Responsive to your vibration, to your readiness, to your becoming. So if life lately feels like a series of glitches, missed connections, sudden delays, unexpected changes in direction, you're not failing. You're being realigned. Let's break this down. You set something in motion. It felt right at the time. But now, just as it was about to unfold, it stalls. Or worse, it backfires. And you wonder, what did I do wrong? But what if you didn't do anything wrong? What if the delay is protection, not punishment? What if the message you were supposed to receive at 9 a.m. didn't arrive? Because the version of you who would have reacted at 9 o'clock is no longer here? Think about that. You're evolving so rapidly, your external world is literally struggling to keep up. And as your inner frequency shifts, reality has no choice but to respond by rearranging sequence, timing, and access. That's why some doors are suddenly harder to open and others swing wide unexpectedly. Have you noticed how some things are flowing in with eerie ease, while others, even ones you deeply desire, feel like you're pushing against a locked gate? This isn't randomness, it's resonance. Right now, you are in a timing audit. The old schedule you were living by was written from a frequency that no longer defines you. And the universe? It doesn't honor outdated maps. It reshuffles the terrain to match the new coordinates of your soul. That's why your sense of control feels fractured, why even the most basic routines might feel unreliable, because the path beneath your feet is changing, not just in direction, but in structure. And here's the sacred truth. Delays aren't denials. They're divine edits. Every not yet is saving you from a version of the story that you've already outgrown, even if you haven't fully seen the new script. So, when something gets postponed, canceled, or disrupted this week, pause. Instead of resisting the interruption, ask, what's aligning around me that I can't see yet? What if this space is not a loss, but a landing zone? Even your body knows. You've likely felt the fatigue that accompanies these shifts. That slow, strange sense of time stretching and contracting. One moment your day feels endless. The next, it's vanished in a blink. You're not imagining it. This is what it feels like to exit the timeline of reaction and enter the timeline of resonance. But don't be fooled. The universe isn't asking you to be passive. It's asking you to be aware, to pay attention to the pauses, to the almosts, to the messages that don't arrive, and the ones that come from the most unexpected places. Because in the reordering, nothing is wasted. That email that bounced back, it wasn't meant for who you thought. That missed call, it wasn't meant to be heard yet. That delay, it bought you time to rise into a version of you that's finally ready to receive what's truly aligned. So no, you're not behind. You're not being punished. You're in a window of sacred adjustment, a timeline tune-up, and every glitch, gap, and pause is making room for the energy that actually belongs. This is cosmic architecture at work, and you, even in your waiting, are being built into something new. There's a silence growing inside you, not loud, not lonely, just necessary. You used to reach out. You used to reply instantly, jump on calls, scroll endlessly, laugh at things that now seem to pass right through you. But lately, even the simplest interaction feels loud. And maybe you've been wondering, why do I suddenly want to disappear? This isn't avoidance, it's not depression. It's a sacred reset. Welcome to energetic fasting. After the flower moon, your energy field was blasted wide open, flooded with emotion, insight, downloads, fragments of truth that hadn't surfaced in years. And now, your system is doing what all living things do after an overload. It's withdrawing. You don't want to talk, not because you're cold, but because your inner world is finally loud enough to listen to. Words drain you because you're processing frequencies beyond language. Social noise scrapes your aura because your field is too tender for static. You're not breaking down, you're digesting. Think of it this way. When you go through a massive physical or emotional cleanse, you don't just keep eating like nothing happened. You pause. You let the system empty out, recalibrate, and begin absorbing differently. Energetic fasting works the same way. When you stop speaking, it's not a shutdown. It's a signal that you're shifting from external response to internal realignment. Have you found yourself ghosting group chats, leaving messages unread, or opening your phone just to put it down again? Have you avoided eye contact in passing conversations, not from rudeness, but because eye contact feels like too much access? That's not detachment. That's your spirit preserving bandwidth. The more sensitive you become, the more you recognize that even the most well-meaning energy around you can feel intrusive when you're integrating at a soul level. This phase doesn't care about how social you used to be. It doesn't care about expectations. It cares about stability. And stability, for you right now, requires silence. This is why even loving interactions can suddenly feel like work. Small talk drains you. Even laughter feels sharp. The kindness is still there, but your system can't hold anything that pulls it out of presence. And this doesn't just apply to people, content too. Scrolling feels mechanical. Even music, the songs you used to love, might now feel like static instead of medicine. Don't fight it. You're not fading, you're refocusing. Because in this sacred fast, something else is happening. Your field is detaching from codependent stimulation. It's peeling away from relationships, routines, and rhythms that used to regulate you. Not because they're bad, but because they're external. And now, your system is learning to stabilize from the inside out. You don't need a dopamine hit, you need peace. So, if you felt guilty for being less available lately, let that guilt go. This is not a disappearance, it's a return. You are not avoiding life. You're allowing your new frequency to find its shape in the quiet. And when it does, when your system completes this internal weaving, you'll speak again. But not from exhaustion, not from obligation, from truth. Until then, let the phone go dark. Let the messages wait. Let yourself become unavailable for anything that doesn't match the silence you're learning to trust. This isn't social withdrawal, it's energetic sovereignty. You're not losing connection, you're finding resonance. There's a voice in your mind lately, soft but persistent. It shows up in the quiet moments right after another task slips through your fingers, or when your body feels too heavy to move. It asks, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I get it together? Why do I feel like I'm losing momentum, motivation myself?" But what if I told you that voice isn't your truth? It's your old programming reacting to your evolution. You're not falling behind. You're not breaking down. You're not failing. You're becoming. We've been conditioned to measure growth by movement, by output, by clarity. But what if the deepest transformation doesn't look like growth at all? What if it looks like stillness, confusion, fatigue? Right now, your system is in metamorphosis. And the first symptom of metamorphosis is always dissolution. You are dissolving. But only the parts of you that were built to survive in environments that no longer match your vibration. The drive, the chase, the need to prove, to perform, these patterns aren't sustainable in your next frequency, so they're falling away. And in their place, silence, space, sensitivity. This isn't weakness, it's the rewiring of your center. Can you feel it? That strange detachment from what once defined you? The goals that no longer spark, the urgency that no longer convinces, the people you used to chase, slowly drifting out of view, and you don't feel panic. You feel relief? This is how the new version of you enters. Not with fanfare, not with fire, but with a softness that feels like surrender, because it is. You're surrendering to the shape you're becoming. And yes, it's messy. Yes, you'll feel foggy one moment and crystal clear the next. Inspired in the morning and hollow by sunset. That doesn't mean you're unstable. It means you're recalibrating in motion. Be gentle with yourself here. You're not who you were, and you're not yet who you're becoming. You're the bridge. The breath between two frequencies. The echo of a self that no longer needs to lead, and the pulse of a self that hasn't yet taken full form. Let that be enough. Because in this space, progress is not measured by how much you do. It's measured by how willing you are to listen, to rest, to feel, to stop chasing things that were never meant to come with you. What if all the things you've labeled as regression, the tiredness, the disinterest, the emotional waves, what if they're actually evidence that you're in deep soul integration? What if this flatness isn't collapse, but preparation? You don't need to be productive today, you need to be present. To witness your own becoming without rushing it to completion, because that heaviness you're carrying, it's not failure. It's the weight of the old self dissolving in real time. And the reason it feels so unfamiliar is because no one taught us how to celebrate silence. No one told us that peace arrives wearing the mask of emptiness. That becoming is less about doing and more about allowing. So let this be your reminder. You're not missing anything. You didn't fall off your path. You are the path. And every breath you take in stillness is another brick in the new version of you that's quietly forming beneath the noise. You're not failing. You're unfolding. And soon, you'll look back on this phase, not as the time you got lost, but as the sacred space where everything you are now finally had room to arrive.